So thank you again for being here. If you miss any part of this live, go on my YouTube channel. I'll upload it there. And as you know, a lot of things have been coming out with the debacle of the Epstein files and Trump denying it, Bondi denying it, Patel denying it. Here's the thing, and here's how I'm seeing these kinds of distractions. We already know everything we need to know. We really don't need to get details. We just saw Diddy get away with it. And again, it really magnifies the fact that it's not a race war. Never was and never will be. It's a class war. And there's an upper echelon that controls through draconian means. It's something David Icke has been talking about for decades. David Icke has been bullied, harassed. Very similar. I mean, he was saying some pretty crazy shit, right? You know, people morphing into lizards and shit like that. And then you kind of have to understand the witch hunts in the 21st century and the witch hunts in the 20th century. They're not the same witch hunts. They're different. They're very different. And this is something you have to understand and really, really get a clear footing on it and not get disturbed by it. Just realize that when there's a witch hunt against someone, 9 times out of 10, they're saying some truths. 80% of what they're saying is probably very, very radically true. They're getting too close to the heat. And that's going to be problematic, right? Also, what's happening as you're seeing things being exposed, you're seeing the corruption, the injustice. And my job now is to caution you, is to your moods. Protect your mood, protect your peace. I'm quoting this guy, I forgot his name, but I think he's Norwegian. He says, protect your peace. He always says that. He's on TikTok. So give him credit for that line, because it is his line. But really protect your peace, because people that are really going like down the rabbit hole of trying to find Epstein's files and his list and this and that. I'm not saying don't give a fuck about these pedos running around. We pretty much have an idea that we know who they are. I'm going to say something pretty shocking to you, but I was very lucky to have a very streetwise and brilliant father. And he told me something very powerful. I think I was like 17 or 18 years old. He said, when you can get all the pussy you want and dick, eventually it gets boring and you want something else. Why did he choose to teach me that? Because I was a female in a world that would take advantage of me being a female. And he wanted to make sure that I would be fully aware of the kind of carnage, desires, deviancies that were around. He figured it was better to teach me than for me to learn from fucking firsthand experience. And to be blunt, knock on wood, I've been molested, but I've never been assaulted sexually ever, because I knew what the fuck the world was about and how the richer they are, be careful, because they've had it all. And now it's about more interesting shit. This is illustrated in the show Rome, which was a mini-series, which you should watch with your children. Yeah, your 15-year-old kids should know how the world is formed. Ghislaine Maxwell was the feminine that was used to lure trusting teenage girls that probably had very bad daddy issues and mommy issues. And I'm sorry that if you think that's politically incorrect, I don't give a fuck, because this is why we are having our children being kidnapped, assaulted, and destroyed. And I am very interested in keeping our starseed children. We are having a massive population of these souls who have not incarnated on this planet for 400, 500, 600 years, 1,000 years. They took a fucking break. And they're coming in droves. When we drop our bodies, they will pick up the reins of 5D New Earth, and they need to be okay. So when I tell you shit like that, it isn't to trigger you into fear. It's to trigger you into awareness and to trigger you to raise your kids with some fucking sense and to protect your kids. And I'm going to say something that's going to shock you again. And I've said this privately to my friends, but I think it's time for me to explain shit to you, because I think the naivete of parents still shock me. I am in shock still at how fucking naive parents are. When I was about 14 years old, I just moved to this country a year before. And we lived in Pacific Palisades, one of the richest fucking places in America. And at the bottom of the hill of Pacific Coast Highway, there was a very famous bar. And all the stars went, all the male stars went, Grizzly Adams, all these guys. And I'm not, by the way, I'm just throwing out that name. I shouldn't have probably, but whatever. And one day, my father came up to me and says, there's a van. I went, okay. And I want to know if you're hanging out with, I'm going to make up her name. She was actually a friend of mine. She was 14. He said, I saw Lizzie at the van. I go, okay, like, what the fuck, you know? And he said, men, grown men, are getting their sucked. Are you down in that van? And I said, oh, fuck no. He goes, well, she's in that van. I saw her getting out of that van, and I know what that van does. I know who's in there. And it's like they're all getting, and they're all about 14. They're all about your age. And I want to make sure that it's not you. I went, absolutely not. He goes, I don't want you to hang out with her anymore at all. I don't want you to fucking talk to her. I don't want you to hang out with her. We're done here. You're not allowed to fucking hang with her. I went, okay, no problem. And this is 1976. Hollywood. The rich. Malibu. And so I think I need to kind of start really laying it out for you, because this is not about the Epstein file. No one gives a fuck. I'll tell you why I don't give a fuck. Because we all know who's the fucking people on the list. I just reposted Melissa Gates talking about how she met Epstein and she was absolutely, as a grown-ass woman, horrified. She said he was pure evil personified. She said there was a lot of reason why she divorced Billy Boy. Billy Boy, who wants to fuck with our food with APAL stickers, and who's suddenly an expert on the vac and all kinds of shit. The man's a motherfucker himself. And I think she realized that she wasn't sleeping with the enemy, okay? And she divorced his ass quick time. And she's dropping hints. She's doing the best she can. But it's really important that you guys, like, wake the fuck up. You know, like, have conversations with your children who are raising your grandchildren. Like, get fucking involved. Because if you don't fucking teach your kids some sense, the pedos will. The perpetrators will. And your kids will be harmed. And they will not tell you, because the thing you can guarantee with a teenage mind is that they will hold on to that shame until they're deep in their 30s, perhaps 40s. Perhaps never say anything about it. Okay? Because they feel as if they're at fault. Okay? So it's really important that somehow, some way, you tell your children, you talk to your kids at the dinner table, you know, or not even at the dinner table, taking walks, talking about life. Tell them about what you experienced. Tell them to follow their instincts. Tell them that you cannot hang with people who do these things, because somehow they'll put you in a weird position. I'll give you an example. Another one. Again, 14 years old. We're going to Aspen, Colorado for a skiing trip. It's a skiing trip for our class. We're all 14. And the teachers chaperoning are in their 30s. And they're all having sex with the girls, okay? Except for me and other girls. Some of us, we weren't going in for that at all with the teacher, right? But a lot of them were. And alcohol, and I mean that, alcohol and weed was running rampant. So this idea, and again, this is why I say, where the fuck are the boomers? Like, where the fuck are you? Because I'm not the only one that went through that. And I went through various schools throughout the country and outside the country. I've been in schools in Switzerland, France, Hong Kong, Africa, and the United States. It's not like I don't have a fucking good experience of various types of educational system and how teachers act in those systems. I have to say, and I've said this before, in Hong Kong, I never saw inappropriate behavior. Swear to God, never. I didn't see, and believe me, my radars were always up. So why is this important? Well, because I didn't see, and believe me, my radars were always up. So why is this important? Well, because the file are a very good indicator of young 12-year-old girls. I remember Roman Polanski, he wasn't allowed to come back to this country because he was assaulting 13, 14-year-old girls. And this was in the 70s when everybody was doing it. Charlie Chaplin. And this has been hijacked by some of the people in the psychology, psychiatry, anthropological society members who are also pedos, who are really pushing the agenda that it is normal for like Elvis Presley to marry a 13, 14-year-old girl, you know? Jerry Lee Lewis marrying his cousin at 14. So it's not like we don't know what the fuck's going on. So all you're seeing really, and this is really important as a spiritualist, is that you realize that you're going to see the corruption and you will not know, you will not get the answer. The main point of all of this, the implosions that you're seeing going, you know, literally exploding around you, isn't for you to actually get the facts. Who gives a fuck? You kind of get an idea. You know what's going on. It's the fact that it's imploding is really your takeaway. It's not, oh, I need the list. I need this. It's the takeaway. It's the keep your kids close. It's to, yeah, we live in, this is why many of us need to build communities so that our kids are safe. We're safe. We know who's who. You know what I mean? That's going to be really important. It's not to get you enraged. It's not to get you losing your mind into a massive depression. It's to also ask yourself, am I in the right country? Am I in the right state? Can I rely on my family, or are they fucking turds? Okay? And you're going to have to, and we are being asked to make some massive final decisions about what we want, where we want to live, and how we want to live it. And that's intense shit, and you have to get to it. Don't go down, like, you know, Candace Owens was doing a whole thing on that. I think Tucker Carlson is doing that. Everyone's losing their fucking mind over the denial of the list. We all know he was there. We know there are tons of pictures and videos of him hanging out, dancing, and ogling young girls dancing on the dance floor with Epstein. We know who I'm talking about. The little muffin man, you know, the muffet with the red hair. So my point is, it isn't about getting yourself worked up on this shit. It isn't. You know what's going on. You don't need to know details. You're being asked by the universe. You have enough information, the universe is saying. You have all you need to know. Don't lose your fucking mind. Business as usual. A Democratic Party, a Republican Party, they're both a joke, let's be honest. And anyone that tells me otherwise, please fucking grow up. Okay, grow the fuck up. Most of us at this point are orphans. We're not following any fucking parties. We're fucking orphans, okay? And most of us are now also feeling orphaned in a country that has never been kind to beige, brown, black, red, yellow people, or biracial couples that chose to marry another race. If you're gay, it's never been. Do I have to tell you to watch Torch Song Trilogy with Matthew Broderick? Should I ask you to watch that movie one more time to understand that it was never safe? Why do you think San Francisco became the gay capital of most of the USA? Because it was a safe place for these guys coming out of Idaho and the Bible Belt and shit to finally marry, or if not marry legally, at least be in a long-term union with their beloved and so forth until they were attacked with AIDS. You know, let's be honest, okay? Let's let's not play games like, well, you know, the governments would never do that. Yeah, they would. So all we have to look at is the Tuskegee Airmen, how they were treated, and the Tuskegee syphilis test. That's all I gotta say. If it's going to happen to people who aren't of your skin color, eventually it will happen to you. It's common sense, okay? So the main thing, the takeaway for you, and this is what I'm asking you to do, is your meditation. We talked about water. We talked about how the waters can be actually spoken to across the planet. Literally, you can literally manifest power and 5D and speaking to the waters in your vessel, in your cup, in your body, and speak to the waters and say, 5D, I'm here. Because all our troubles are gone. I don't need to know who every single human being on that list. All I need to know, and I'm going to be very blunt, and again, it's not all, just like it's not all men, it's not all billionaires, but I've yet to meet one that hasn't, you know? I mean, I'm assuming Michael Singer is one of the few billionaires who isn't a piece of shit, clearly from the results of the books he wrote, right? The Untethered Soul. But to be honest, I don't know. You know, I really, I don't know who else I can mention who's a billionaire. I know that there are women who are sitting on $1 billion, $500 million that they're quietly doing some interesting work for the greater good. They're concerned with children, and all kinds of things are being put in place to make sure that women, the feminine intuitive powers of the high priestess, again, they're afraid of the fucking high priestess. They're doing it again. They're doing it again. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of us because we can do things they can't. And they have their little bitches on the payroll, like Bondi and other people, just bitches, like, the one, I don't even know her name, Caroline, what's her, who press conferences and who thinks she's brilliant. We have had a debacle of leadership for decades. Be honest about it. And we're finally come to this point in history where we're in shock. And so, but don't get angry, don't get depressed. Just know that your ability to actually manifest a complete 180 it lies within your hands. It's within your hands. You have the power to do what you need to do to get shit done. And you need to realize that they want to harness your consciousness. Because once they own your consciousness through rage or grief or despair or fear, they have you exactly where they need you. Thank you, Gemma. Thank you. They have you exactly where they want you. So this Epstein file, the P. Diddy, I'm watching people because that's what I do. I keep informed to some level. But most importantly, I read the comments of people, and the rage I'm reading is insane. It's insane. It's not healthy for you. I get triggered too, don't get me wrong, okay? But then I reset myself, okay? And I felt like I needed to come on here. And the reason why I chose this picture, just so you know, it represents the way I saw Adam, who I saw him as an albino male, believe it or not. And I saw Lilith as a very dark-skinned, dark-eyed, beautiful, lush woman. And I didn't know that the cuneiforms or the Sumerian tablets described Adam as a white skin. I mean, we're talking about pure white skinned male. I had no idea. That was a vision that came to me about 6 years ago. And I wrote a short story called Lilith, the Whole Erotic Truth. And I've never actually gotten published, whatever, but I might actually do a little publish. It's a quick thing, but, whatever. We'll see. But anyway, so my point is, why am I bringing that up? Because Lilith was demonized. Lilith was demonized. Remember the story. I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you the story. The way I see it is Lilith and her beloved are angelic beings in the higher realms. Let's call it seventh dimension, plasmic field. And the Anunnaki God comes to them. He comes to the masculine saying, I need to create a human race. Different than that. It's not working. And I need the angelic wombs of your women to create something new, better. And the men gather. The masculine angels gather. And the feminine say, well, it's going to be very quick. It's not going to last very long. And we'll be back. It'll be quick. And the inference is that there are no other human beings whatsoever. And so the 12 Liliths start falling from 7D, their wings ripping off their bodies. The density is intense. And they pass out in various continents on this planet. And they awaken next to atoms. Atoms. And there starts the story that we all know, which is the masculine Adam, who has no self-confidence, who knows what he is. He's lower than an Anunnaki. Wants to subjugate the Lilith. And the Lilith is a fucking angelic high priestess. What the fuck are you? I'm here to help you. You're not here to control me. Already they're on unequal footing because she, by just being a high angelic from the high angelic realms, has lowered her frequency to donate her womb, if you will, to donate herself to create a human race as we know it. And there's not supposed to be any humans at all. Not at all. And so the battle of wills begins. And her body is not taken. In some cases it is, in some cases it isn't. And a battle ensues, and she walks out of what you guys would call the Garden of Eden, comes across humanoids that are partying. You could call it a Bacchanalian festival. You could call it a Burning Man, if you will, you know. And she's realizing that something's wrong because she's forgotten everything, and yet she knows she's more than this. And the archangel Anunnaki, right, God, has set a situation where the masculine angels are realizing they've been fucking lied to. And we now know the Book of Enoch, right? The masculine angels coming down to make love to the human, the feminines. But anyway, the energy of these Liliths, the density is strong, and yet there's something whispering in their conscience. There's something whispering that there's more to this. Returning to Eden, they come across Eve, a woman replaced, a lower, from his rib, obviously, and she is subservient, but yet she still has the spark of the soul, free will, and consciousness. And of course, the Anunnaki God, the old God of the Testament, is talking about, hey, nah, you can't eat from that fruit of knowledge. Interesting, isn't it? Why would there be a fruit of knowledge? That God can do anything, but he's put a fucking fruit of, the fruit of knowledge, a tree of knowledge, in the middle of a garden. Why would he do that? It's because the Anunnaki God had no control over that garden. That garden represented free will and so forth. And so, of course, Lilith is reduced, they say, to a snake. But before that happens, each archangel masculine is able to come and hover above the Garden of Eden. And he sees his beloved. Each of them see their beloved, the 12 Liliths in different parts of the planet. And they're trying to, and it's almost like a force shield that won't allow them, because the frequency is so dense that they would have to lose their consciousness to match the frequency, to deposit, to land onto planet Earth as we know it. So they hover above. And they telepathically and through the dream state of their beloveds, now trapped in a human body, right? Because they've literally been ripped into from 7D to 3D, to walk out of the garden. And a situation ensues, a fight with Adam, that these Liliths walk out of the garden, and their beloved, you could say twin if you want, greets them. And they're horrified. They see these incredible, titanic, 20-foot tall angels. And they are terrified, because now they've been reduced to primitive mindsets. It's almost like Imagine somebody you love that is brilliant, mathematical, this, that, and the other, and they're lobotomized, and you see them drooling on themselves. In a way, that's what spiritually happened to them, these women. And they're able to, these gigantic, titanic angels are able to coax some of these Liliths into their arms and to telepathically show them images of what they were before this happened, before the fall. And some of these titanic angels cannot, they have a choice. We either become human like you, we either fall from 7D permanently into 3D, or we have to abandon you and hope that one day you'll remember yourself to come into union with me again. And what ensues is separate. And I believe there's separate stories to that, obviously, in Asia, in Africa, in the European continents, and so forth. But ultimately, there's this powerful creation that happens from reconnecting with their beloved telepathically, the nectar of the touch of their beloved, of these titanic masculine archangels. And they go in and influence Eve to ask for more knowledge, to start ripping down the curtains of illusion from this old Anunnaki god who posed as the creator when he wasn't at all. And he was him, this degenerate, this jealous, this spiteful god, which even Gene Roddenberry actually showed up in one of his Star Treks back in the 60s. But anyway, and Lilith morphs herself into the high priestess, not as Ishtar, not as an animal with the wings of an eagle and the claws of a lion. That was a bastardization created by men. She becomes the high priestess and goes through the concept of reincarnations, of the death of the body and to go on again. And there are these powerful souls walking the planet now. High priestess, we're talking about pure, powerful goddesses that had been lied to. And this is why I tell you that now we're spiritually street smart. We'll never be played for again. We're never going to be hustled again. We are no longer the naive, pure souls that we were when we were first created on the 23rd dimension as just pure spark energy into, 9th D, 7th D, plasmic, and carbon, and so forth. We were fucking naive. And that should be hard for you to figure out, because many of you can't even figure out, like, you'll say things, I don't understand, how can people be so cruel? You're not being asked to understand. Why would you want to go crawl into the mind of such deviancy? You're being asked to realize that it is so. That cruelty of that level exists. And though you may not be able to understand it, nevertheless, it exists. Once you understand that, you know now how to control your consciousness so that it can no longer be owned, wrapped, subjugated, or manipulated to their own ends using egregores and various types of thought conscious traps that have been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years. You're being asked to be the traps that have been going on for hundreds of years, thousands of years. You're being asked to be the carry your creativity, your ability to create magic out of nowhere. Some of you can make the ocean rise, and I know you know who you are. Some of you can look at the sky and make it rain just right there, right over your head, or in patches over the sky. Some of you can make the tree branches lower themselves. You can make the tree branches move and stop. You know who you are. Some of you can levitate. Some of you can lift paper off a table or a cup. You know who you are. And you're not here to entertain people with these magics. You're here to know that if you can do these things, and you know you can, and you've been doing it since you were a child, you've had imaginary friends, quote unquote, which now you realize were your guides, and you could see them then. And they were keeping you company and protected. This message isn't about fear-mongering. This message is for you to align yourself with your powers, to understand. And I give you brass tacks on what to do in the beginning of this live. Because we do not want to fucking do kumbaya shit. We need to be who we were born to be, which are love, shaman, warriors. And warriors in the way of this new age, this new earth, this 5 dimension, doesn't play at Spartan-like wars or ancient Trojan wars or things of that nature. No, a real warrior now is like a wolf. It creates a community. It protects the young and the old, and it leads with generosity and no favoritism, no nepotism, none of that. It's all done from a place of high consciousness and love for the greater good of all. And so as you start watching, some of the news and some of the things you're going to watch online or whatever, it's like, honestly, don't get played, don't get owned. Know that these disgusting human beings are on the planet. Your job is to make sure that your 12, 13-year-old fucking is fully aware of it. And you better share what I've told you so that they understand. Because this idea that you must protect, yeah, you can protect your kids, but there's a point, at a certain point, and you'll know it. It could be 9 years old. I'm not joking when I say that. It could be 10. You've got to know what's up. And you have to let them know what's up. And I don't know what else to add to that. There's really not much more to add. Make your kids street smart young so that they don't get to be a victim and they never tell you. I could tell you stories after, but I don't need to tell you stories. You have your own stories. You have friends, unfortunately, that have gone through things like that. And you know how it harmed them for damn near the entirety of their lives. It literally, these experiences will change a person so that they're never truly able to walk the path of the mission they were born to do, but that's why it's done. And you may not like David Icke, okay? But he's been talking about the Bohemian Grove and all kinds of shit like that for a long, long, long time. And all these stars and all these movies and all of these things that we thought we could trust, like Tom Hanks, that piece of shit, they're all on the payroll to control the masses. You were supposed to fall in love with them. You were supposed to like them. And have you noticed that the people like Robin Williams did not survive? Anthony Bourdain did not survive. Why? Because they knew a lot and some of them could not live with it anymore. And they felt like they were yelling underwater. They would drop hints. They would do this, or maybe they were blackmailed, or I don't know, or threatened. Or if not threatened, their family was threatened. We don't know how deep those hands go. But we do know that we don't need to know all the details. We have enough information. Right now, we know that Bibi has decided that's a good idea for the president to be nominated for the the Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize? The balls, right? The balls. And if he wins, let's just say, okay, if he wins, you know who controls everything. And we don't want to be part of 3D. We want 5D. And 5D, as I've said again and again and again, is not a match to these nefarious forces. It's not a match, but you have the power. And they know it. And the feminine power has been hijacked, kidnapped, raped, destroyed throughout the centuries for a reason. She has been jailed, lobotomized, drugged. We know this. And we have women who are on the payroll unbeknownst to them, or maybe they do know, who work for the machine that oppresses all of the beautiful star seeds, male and female, that walk the planet. Some of them are aware of what they're doing. They're highly aware. They're getting those, deposits on the bank. And some are not. They're not aware. But that's, again, not your problem. Your only problem that you have to really master is your monkey mind. Once you master your monkey mind, it's game over. You win. It's over. And the more of us that get to that place of conscious self-deliverance, the faster we can topple this system out. We can literally fall out of the matrix into the beautiful, welcoming arms of 5D. And the problem, and I've been asking you to do that, is because your adult minds are so hardwired into 3D that you find it impossible to conceive of that kind of immediate shift. And yet, if you were a 4-year-old child, I could make you believe that in the garden are fairies and that in the woods are gnomes, and you and I would go hunting for them and you'd see them, and maybe we would materialize them because of our belief in the impossible. Be a child again. Remember who you are. Remember how powerful you are. Remember you have died hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times, and you've always landed on your feet. You have always been in the most exquisite adventures, and the most dire things have happened to you, and yet here you are, still breathing. That is quite a power to realize. And so once you master yourself, hopefully we all do, we'll be able to finally live, breathe the new earth. Let me see here. I'm going to read some comments and we're so grateful for you. Thank you, a friend. Good. Thank you too. I love this picture. Yes, tell it. Goosebumps. Yeah. Hello. I'm glad that I can catch you live here. Beautiful. Hollywood is a sick scam. Yes. Andromeda, I'm going to send you an invitation. Would you like to come on and talk? I'm going to send it to you and you can come or not. It's up to you. I'd love for them to hear what you have to say if you want to. I'm going to send you the invite. If you want. If not, it's okay. Okay. So I'm going to wait, but let me know. Type it up if you want to or not. Let me see. So I've shared some pretty heavy things with you guys, and yeah. So listen, I'm gonna upload this on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, please. Just follow me there as well. We have everything we need to know. We need to stick together. We have a book club called the Esoteric Book Club. We also have Starseeds Awakening, or another group that's on Telegram. We talk about a lot of things. We support each other. If you're interested in joining, let me know. It's on my link tree, but introduce yourself. Don't just walk into my house, and open my fridge and start taking food. Like, say something. Say, hi, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. And then you're welcome. And then you're welcome to join us. But let me know, okay? Oh, no. Absolutely. She's traveling. Okay, all good. All right. So I will try to get Andromeda Flame on a live as soon as she feels, the energy for her. And it could be like in a few weeks. The Esoteric Book Club, right now we're reading The Little Prince. I kid you not, because we're trying to get back to our childhood stuff. Hi, I'm Jamie. I would love to join. It's on my link tree. You go on my link tree, and I believe the Esoteric Book Club is on, or the Starseeds Awakening. If not, if you don't see it, DM me, private message me, and I will send you the link, okay? I will send you the invite. Because it's an incredible group of women, and we talk about everything unhinged on Telegram. Everything. Politics, spirituality. I just did a live on the waters, and the language of waters, based on by the way, I had it spelled wrong. It wasn't Vera. It was Vita. Vita Austin is the name. Fuck. Sometimes I don't get it right. Sorry. But you see, this is what I'm saying. I want you to have more confidence, all of you, in doing your lives and doing your shit. I fuck up all the time. And then you repair it. You just fucking repair it. But yeah, the group is really important. I can see it's healing. Well, it's healing women because because they're in their depression or they're in their shit, right? But at least they know that they're not crazy and they're not alone. And that's really, really important. Like the main thing for people is the loneliness. And COVID lockdowns made sure that we were on our own. COVID made sure that we were completely isolated from each other. That was the whole point. Isolate the people. And guess what? A lot of families literally broke up over who was going to get the jab and who wasn't. It was a shit show. And, you know, people not being able to visit each other for 2 years. People, it was insane. Like I said, just to remind you what we were doing, because I was flying back and forth a lot. So, you know, I'm wearing a mask, right? Because you're at the airport, right? And they're all telling you stand 6 feet apart. Okay, we're standing 6 feet apart. And I'm standing in line, and I could get literally the security guard taking me away from the airport and being banned because I'm not fucking stepping back 6 feet, right? At the airport, checking in. And then walking into the airplane and my elbow on someone's ass. That's all I gotta say. And that should have made people wake up. Right there. And I was flying a lot of that during that period, a lot, because I was taking care of my mom and until I had to take her, you know, bring her to California. But the point is, a mask, a fucking mask, standing, and then your ass is right on my ass. Like literally, we're squeezed like sardines. So we've been lied to for quite some time. And the great dispelling of the myth of true leadership is collapsed. And many of you do not want to lead. You've got new people who have absolutely no experience in politics that are running for office, like mayorship, governorship. Mandani is an example of that. And people are losing their minds because he's coming from a wealthy family. Well, not every wealthy person's an asshole, because I'm going to be honest with you. I came... in the beginning of my very young life, I was in a privileged situation. I've never said this to you guys, but I'm going to say it to you. I had chauffeurs. I had a maid. I lived like that. For Christ's sake, we had a villa in the south of France. And I'm not saying that to brag about it. It's to say I live what you would call the princess lifestyle. And then my father suddenly shit would go south, and we'd be like living in, I'll never forget, my mom had a double pneumonia, and we lived in London in a cold water flat, swear to God, where we had to put shillings for heat, right? And then 2 weeks later, we're living in a three level brownstone, and he hired a maid and a butler, and I'm getting writing lessons in Hyde Park. I mean, that was my life. This is how I was raised, just so you know. So I was around poverty, like I knew poverty, but I also knew insane wealth. You know, I was around very powerful people that are still powerful. Their children, like I know of their children, let's put it that way. And it doesn't make you an asshole. It makes you aware of the disparity and the injustice and the out of balance insanity of money and people who are homeless. You know, and homeless, I've met some of the most brilliant people with, you know, some of them highly educated, some of them not, but they're no less brilliant, who are homeless. They're not homeless because they're stupid. They're homeless because the system, like they couldn't live in a system this fucking corrupt. They were too sweet of human beings to live and play the game. They didn't want to play this game. It was too much. And I think, like with Anthony Bourdain, when I did a reading on him, because I was a fan of him from 2002. Okay, I loved his book Kitchen Confidential, and read it like 2 or 3 times. And my point to you is, it never occurred to me to see if he had actually taken his own life. And one day I thought, you know what? It was last year actually. I said, you know what? I'm going to find out if he did it. And I was in shock. I was expecting conspiracy shit, and somebody came in the room. No, he did it. And it was like a series of things he couldn't handle anymore. He just could not. It made no sense anymore. And no one was waking up. Remember, he died before COVID. Okay? Had he waited, this is the thing about suicide. Had he waited until now with COVID and the debacle, he would have seen that people were going to wake up. But they needed a pinnacle moment. And for many of us, the pinnacle moment was the lockdowns. You know, like for example, I some of you know I lived in Malibu Beach, right? talk about the power of, I remember telling my twin, hey, I'm going to find a place. Our budget's about $1,000 a month. And he goes, yeah, good luck. Malibu? Yeah, fuck you. He was like, no way. And I found a little ad in Craigslist, and it was hush hush because it was in a community where they were not allowed to be Airbnb-ing anything, right? And the kid was leaving for Greece. This was right before the lockdown. This was 2019. And he was renting his room out for like 4 months, something like that. And before you knew it, we had rented that room in Malibu, in a gated community, swear to God, I'll never forget. And we would get up every morning at 7:30 in the morning. We'd be out on the beach running on the waves and so forth. Why do I say that? Because COVID came, and suddenly we were not allowed to go to the beach. You could actually get arrested. You could get arrested, go 6 months in jail, $1,000 to $10,000 fine. The beach. We weren't allowed to hike in the mountains, even though there was no one in the fucking mountains. Helicopters were zooming. And I remember the last day I was about to, we were moving to Ojai, California, and I was sitting on a beach cross-legged. I decided, fuck these motherfuckers. I'm going to meditate on the beach and say goodbye, because I knew I'd never see it again, right? It was Zuma. And so I'm sitting in Pirates Cove, which many of you who know Zuma Beach know what Pirates Cove is. It's you have to climb rocks to get to it. It's a cove, and it's amazing. And I'm sitting there in a meditation, and there comes the Coast Guard on a boat. No, I'm not joking. Like I'm some kind of criminal with a bullhorn telling me to get off the fucking beach. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding. And so for people like me, it was a grief. It was like seeing people abdicate their power. And that's when people like me, because my dad was always, you want to talk conspiracy theorists? I grew up on this shit. I was teeved on conspiracy theories. And so when I left and we packed up our shit that day and drove to our next destination, because again, during COVID, it was really hard to find rentals. People were really Airbnb all kinds of shit and hustling the system. It was corrupt as fuck. But anyway, and now Airbnb is getting its karma. By the way, it's connected to, they've been doing a lot of, I think it's owned by Zionist companies, so try to fucking not give them your money, just on the side note. But anyway, moving on. And I was like, are these people ever going to wake up? Are they ever going to wake up? And from that destination in California, we ended up in Nevada City because I saw Sasha Stone interviewing Renee Senem. And Renee Senem at the time was a small little mayor. She's a gay mayor at the time. And she had put into place that no one had to wear masks. No one. And I was like, oh, I'm fucking there. And we found a place to rent. And we were very blessed. And then literally 6 weeks later, my husband died. And my beautiful son was destroyed. And I'm telling you all this because there were a lot of things happening during COVID. I remember my son telling me that they were in Pasadena, California, on the main street, which is, Pasadena has beautiful areas, quite gorgeous, beautiful gardens. The botanical garden is there. It's called the Huntington Botanical Garden, and it houses the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls are housed there, meaning the Gospels of Mary and the Gospels of Thomas, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, anyway. And I remember tanks were driving by, and the father of my son turned to our son and said, I never thought I'd see this. And it broke his heart because he did die of a heart attack. It broke his heart. A lot of people were dying left and right, not just because of illness or whatever, because their hearts were being broken. They were too sweet. They were too loving, too gentle for this world. And so I can't have you get destroyed by this. You're going to have to pull yourself together. You're not alone. You're strong. You're one of the ones that survived the first rush of bullshit that broke so many people's hearts. So many people wanted to believe that they were safe. They wanted to believe that the leaders they had put into place wanted to care for them. And it's really changing the way we see leadership and responsibility and generosity. And I keep thinking of the ancient druids, the ancient shamans, the good ones, the ones that really truly cared for their people and truly wanted their people to thrive. And there was peace in the land, and there was abundance, and there were female trees grown all over so that people could literally travel and pick fruit. I have memories of Switzerland where we're just hiking in the mountains and there's an old pear tree in the middle of nowhere. And imagine all these 10-year-old kids climbing that tree in different branches sitting, and we're eating pears off the tree, juices dripping on our chins, and just this pear tree. And then on to something else, and now we're seeing cherry trees. And we're jumping up and down and climbing and shaking the branches and getting cherries and wearing the cherries like earrings. You know how you put the cherries around your ear, your ears? And we've stripped that away from our children. And we can't do that anymore. We can't allow the planet to be sterilized because these nefarious 1%ers don't want us to, God forbid, we should be able to literally walk and hitchhike and backpack and eat fruit and berries along the way, as it was done in the ancient ways, in the ancient days. We've forgotten what this planet was. And we've allowed these people to tell us what this planet will always be, and it's a lie. It's all a lie. So the Epstein files, all these other you don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. Like, don't get distracted by bullshit. Don't get distracted by P. Diddy. He can buy more olive oil, baby oil, fucking sardine oil. I don't give a fuck what he does. What we care about is to give ourselves justice. We don't need them to give us closures. We give it to ourselves. The gift of closure is something you give yourself. And closure means I know what this planet was once was, and I claim it back again in 5D. And in 5D, there are no match. In 5D, there are no billionaires. And oh my God, Zoran Mandani saying there shouldn't be any billionaires. He's correct. He's correct. There shouldn't be. And so don't get distracted. You're not alone. You have all these light beings that surround you. Speak to the waters. Speak to them and tell them what you want. And get the book if you can get it. You know what I mean? That book. Watch Vita Austin. It's on my TikTok. It's on my YouTube page. You can see it. Okay? And you can see, I did a 16-minute thing on it. And she's taken Dr. Emoto's study to a level that's mind-blowing. I urge you to listen to my live. And then I urge you to go on Gaia.com to listen to the entirety of that interview, because what she's saying, waters have been our allies. And I talked about it in depth. I'm not going to repeat myself on this live. Take the time to go check it out. You'll see that the image says waters. And it's not like the art that I usually use. You'll see it. It's right there. It's like right there. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to send you so much love. And the work you're doing is so powerful. Thank you for being the light and warrior and reminder for us. Absolutely. I love it. And water is life, and water is our ally. Water is the water. This is why the southern... this is why the current is shifting. This is why they're saying that the planet is going backwards. Do you understand the chakras of the planet are no longer the chakras we've been taught to? Do you understand? Everything is shifting. It has to. 5D cannot have the same planetary chakras. It can't. So that's shifting. The ocean current is going backwards. The planet's going a little bit of backwards. I think it's speeding up. And then the ocean is going backwards. Why? Because 5D is coming. And so that's it. And they know it. That's why they're doubling down with their cruelty and their weird fucking blood rituals that they're doing. And they are doing it. And you know who they are. And we're seeing them. All of their masks are falling away. And we're seeing the ghoulish truth of these human beings. You know? If you want a crash course, listen to David Icke's documentary on Gaia. It's based on his life, on how he was activated, which I know he's not, that man's not lying. I'll tell you that right now. He's not lying at all, because he suffered for it. Just like Shirley MacLaine suffered for, writing her book Out on a Limb and talking about her UFO experience and her transcendental reincarnation experience, and she was treated like the only thing they didn't do is burn her and destroy her career. But they were laughing at her, they were ridiculing her, they were making her feel like she was an absolute asshole. And they do that because they're all on the fucking payroll, and these matrix slaves are everywhere. And all you have to do is see it for what it is, and you don't need to know more than that. That should be enough for you. You've seen everything you need to see. Do not go into these rabbit holes. Do not get sucked, all your beautiful energy sucked into despair or rage. Just keep doing what you're supposed to do. You know why you're here. You know what you're supposed to do. Just bring the planet to 5D. Planet Earth is already doing her work. Do you see that? That's where we're having what you might call cataclysms. But the right things are happening, and it may look like the wrong things, but it's the wrong things for the right reasons. Do you understand? Sometimes that's necessary. And some people will not survive because they're not a match. Just like my beloved last year who died. My beautiful divine consort died because his body could not do 5D. He could not. The matrix, the grief, the trauma, the addictions, he couldn't do it. The best thing he could do was drop his body. We will lose people we love, because then they can incarnate back when they want into the 5D planet Earth. But they can't do it with the way they were formed, the way some things were cemented into steel. They can't release it. They can't awaken fully like you have. And so I need you to trust in the magic of why you're here. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well.